Thank you for joining us today for the Emergency Relief Community Sport and Recreation Grant webinar. My name is Tommy Wharton. I'm part of the Ontario Sport Network team on the call today. I'm the Senior Project Lead with a special focus on this Emergency Community Sport Recreation Grant. I'm joined on the call today by David and Bianca. If you could just say hello and introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Bianca Bond. I'm the manager for the National Sport Trust Fund and also the digital for OSN.
And I'm David Siegel, and I'm Vice President of Client Services at Impact North, and we put together the digital programming for the system.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, David. Right off the top, I'd like to thank the province of Ontario, the government of Ontario, for their investment into this grant. Specifically, I'd like to thank the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industries. This grant is a much needed grant, and we're very excited to have this webinar today to talk about it. The Ontario Sport Network has been contracted by the province to deliver this one-time based application relief fund targeting community level sport and recreation organizations, clubs, teams, leagues, and associations that have sustained losses due to COVID-19. We've already done 4 of these webinars or Zoom information sessions, and they have been all videotaped, and you can see them on our OSN website, specifically on our grant page. This is our 5th. We will also be recording this session, but what we want to do is to make this next 45 minutes extremely valuable for everyone, is to have a different tone. If you haven't watched the webinars already, they're very specific, and they actually go into a page flip of the application. So you can do that and watch those already. For this particular one, we're going to hone in on a couple key areas where we've seen some trends and questions, specifically around the application and its functionality. And then we're actually going to open up the floor, and we're going to take the bulk of the 45 minutes to answer your questions. Bianca, maybe you want to give a couple of just about 20 seconds on how they're going to do that with the hand feature.
Yeah, so at the moment, everyone is muted. So the way that we do this is, if you have a question, you can just use the reaction button at the bottom of your screen. It looks like a little smiley, and we just ask people to raise their hand. When I see a hand raised, I will call on your name and then also unmute you so you can ask your question.
Perfect, thank you. I'm just doing a little bit of a screen share here because before I get into, hand it over to David, who's going to go into the application, some specific areas of it. I just want to frame what this OSN Emergency Relief Grant is all about. So over a month ago, on March 8th to be specific, there was an announcement from Minister MacLeod about an investment into sport and recreation in the province. Specifically highlighted here in this announcement, here you'll see the funding envelope of $30 million was issued by the province. So a fantastic injection of investment into sport and recreation. We're here to talk today about the middle bullet point here, the $7 million to the OSN to distribute to local community-based sport and recreation organizations that exist outside the PSO, Provincial Sport Organization, or MSO, Multi-Sport Organization stream. If you're on this call today, on this webinar, and you're a member club of a PSO, Provincial Sport Organization, each respective PSO will have its own grant relief system. You can go to their website, or you can contact personnel and staff at the PSO to discuss with them the eligibility criteria if you're a member club of a PSO. But today's call is going to focus on the OSN grants specifically. So I just wanted to put that into context. We worked really hard as a team to make this online application very user-friendly, so succinct and efficient. And at the end of the day, it's going to capture key data and information that is directly related to the impacts and challenges that the pandemic has caused your organization, such as financial loss, loss in programming, loss in membership, loss in staff, that sort of thing. Ultimately, grants will be issued to eligible organizations that demonstrate the greatest financial need and a strategy to use this investment to get their programming back on track. We expect it to be a very competitive process with a lot of applications. To date, we have over 200 that are in the system. With our timelines going to the end of the month, we're expecting anywhere from 500 to 1,000 applications. But in summary, this is a very exciting grant. It's a much needed grant at a key time, and it's an opportunity to get your organization, your programming back on track after the hardships of the last couple of years. So that's the end of my opening comments. I'm going to pass it over to David, who is going to hone in on a couple key areas of the application, and actually the front end part of the application. I see some people on the Zoom call today that have asked questions about maybe some issues with not moving forward in the application or about their password. And David will field talk about this for the next 5 minutes. David, over to you.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. Please just let me know, Tommy, can you see my screen now? Are you able to see the OSN website?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so as Tommy had mentioned, we've done a number of webinars, and I'm just going to show you very quickly that if you're on the Ontario Sport Network website and you go to the grant page, which I'm sure you've all seen with this information, you'll see that there are the 4 webinars that had been pre-recorded that you'll be able to look at. Numbers 1 and 2 are really, really specific, like that they'll take you page by page through the application, how it all works, what we're asking for. And then 3 and 4 got a little bit more question specific about eligibility and whatnot. So I just wanted to show you quickly where those are. And obviously, once you've gone through this entire page and you've looked at the frequently asked questions and determined that this all makes sense, ready to submit your application, click here to begin. And that takes you to this page. So on this page here, this is the grant login page. If you have not signed up yet, you're going to click here to sign up for your account, and you will enter the very basic info, your personal first name, your last name, your email address, confirm your email, your phone number, your password, and your password has to be, a reasonably strong password that has at least 6 characters, lowercase and uppercase, a number, a special character. You confirm it, you click create an account. When you've clicked create an account, it will tell you, thank you for signing up. You're going to receive a confirmation email. So that confirmation email will come directly to the email address that you have just signed up with, whether it's a Gmail account or a Hotmail, Yahoo, wherever it is. Check your junk folders, check your inbox. You should get an email that looks exactly like this: account confirmation required with your name, Ontario Sport Network. That's where it's coming from. Hi, please verify your account by clicking on this link. Once you click on that link, then it will take you back to the login page. So that's just literally this page over here. And you can now sign in with the email account that you had signed up with. So if you're not using the same email account for whatever reason, obviously it won't let you in. You've got to use the one that you signed up with. Use the password that you had signed up with. If for some reason you can't remember your password, once you've clicked that verify link, you will be able to get a forgot password functionality where if you click that, you put in your email and it will send you the password. If you have not verified the account, that will not work for you. You have to get to that verification email that I just showed you. If for whatever reason you did not receive that, please email us at grants@ontariosportnetwork.ca. And we will help you manually figure it out. But so far we've had virtually not even 1% of people are having problems with this. And then of course, if you just want to see a summary of exactly what I said, we have a little link here, having trouble signing in, and that will bring up the information that I've just mentioned, that you have to verify your account and make sure that you're using the same email. So once you sign in, you have to click that you're not a robot. Now, it will take you to a profile page where you have to fill in the rest of your information. So that will include your personal address. So again, this is your personal address, the person signing up for this. Your information, your phone and your email will already be there. And then you're going to start putting in your organization names, what your position and title is, and your when you assume the position. And if you want to do this for a number of organizations, because maybe you're a member of a number of different organizations or teams or clubs or leagues or whatnot, you can add as many as you want, and then you can always remove them if necessary. Now, the other stumbling place is that I agree that I have read and accept the privacy policy. This is its own little window that you actually have to click on so that you can go through. We want you to see all these terms and conditions just because you're about to submit some information with us, including financials. So we want to be sure that you're completely aware of the privacy policy. And then you have to actually click that little box down there. Once that happens, you see the little checkbox, you're good to go. And then you have to, for anti-spam, you're going to click this, you're going to say, okay, and now you're good to go. It'll say click here to submit an application, and you can go in and you can submit an application. So I'm going to go into the one that I currently have in progress just to show you. Everything else here, like we said, it's all covered in previous webinars. So I'm not going to go into the whole idea that you have to ensure your qualification or fill in your all of your info. But the one place I will stop is on this financial page. When we're asking you to submit your financial statements, we have asked that the files are a maximum of 3 megabytes per file so that we don't hold up the system or have any issues. If for whatever reason, any of the files that you're trying to submit are over 3 megabytes, you might have a problem. It might hold up, it might hang up, it might say, you know, that it won't accept the file, or maybe that it'll continue to spin or hang. So please just make sure that your 3 files are absolutely all within the 3 megabyte range. For financial statements, that should be more than big enough. If for some reason your files are larger than that, see if you can cut down on graphics, or if you can downsize, like especially if it's a PDF, if you can make it a lower res, save as a reduced file size. And then that should work. And once again, at any point, if you have any problems or questions, please contact us at this email address, grants@ontariosportnetwork.ca, and we'll certainly try our best to help you out. So Tommy, I think that's really the places I wanted to focus, and everything else should be answered in the webinars and or in the questions that we're about to field.
Perfect. No, that's great, David. Another key part of our on our landing page on the OSN grant page, just underneath the Zoom information that Dave just shared you, is a big area. Yeah, just scroll down, frequently asked questions. So this area it's pretty comprehensive. I think there's over 15 specific. We tried to troubleshoot of just what would people be asking about eligibility, or when does it close, or who should fill this out. And it's all captured there. So that's another very useful element feature on our website. To David's point about the grant email, there's a direct email address, grants@ontariosportnetwork.ca. We'll do our best to answer your questions within 48 hours. Apologize if there's some questions that came over the weekend. There was quite a few. We have not got to those yet, but we'll do our best to answer those within the next short period. So I think that's really good, David. You covered that excellent. I think Bianca, I think what we'll do right now is use this time to field questions, and let's dig right into it right now.
Yeah, so if anyone has a question, if you can just raise your hand reaction, and then I'll be able to unmute you.
We go.
One there. I have Jackie. I'll unmute you.
Hi there. Fast question. What is the turnaround in terms of from the application time until the funds are released?
Oh, great question. So the applications are due end of the month, April 29th at midnight, 11:59 to be specific. We're going to spend most of May, about 3-week period, going through the applications. And then we have to actually discuss it with the ministry, because we have to give them a final list. But we're looking at early to middle of June. That's the sort of timelines for successful organizations to receive checks.
Okay.
And just for everyone's awareness, these timelines are similar to timelines that the provincial sport organizations are doing for their respective grant. This is just the timelines that the ministry have given us. So these are not timelines that we have created, the OSN. I know these are tight timelines, and our apologies on that, but it's just the way that this fund, relief fund, has been structured for both us and the PSOs respectively. But I know they're tight timelines.
Tommy, I'm thinking, just based on what you just said, based on those timelines, maybe you want to just reflect also on the financial statements for 2021, which some people may not have completed yet. Maybe you want to preemptively answer that one.
Great one. Yeah, thanks, David. There has been a couple of questions in our past Zooms, and also we fielded a couple emails on that, where potentially your organization may not be, you may be just in the process of wrapping up your fiscal year. So when you actually upload your financial documents, you may not have them complete because they haven't been, let's say, board approved or just finalized. In that case, you can put a watermark and put draft. You can put something in the notes that say that it's still being finalized, but we have seen your 2019, 2020, and the 21 data to date. There is the ability for us to follow up with organizations that have that condition. But just want to make that note, because some year ends, fiscal year ends are different. We appreciate that. So if you have any questions around that, you can ask them now or follow up with us later as well.
Okay, so the next question is going to be from Lana. I hope I said that right.
Hi. Just to expedite the process from my end, I need to take a look at all the questions in advance and fan them out to our team. I'm just wondering if there's some way you can get the questions in advance. I'm just having trouble moving back and forth, and I can't move to the next phase or the next screen unless I've completed the current screen.
Actually, you actually can. If you take a look up at the top, I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Even without submitting, you do, obviously, to save, you have to have gone through the previous screens, but you actually can navigate by clicking on the numbers at the top.
The numbers?
I'm sorry?
You're saying the top, now that's how you do. So if you go save and continue, it doesn't move forward, but the only way to do it is by clicking the numbers at the top.
This allows you to, okay, so this allows you to preview. So you can actually look at every screen and see all of the questions. All it means is you can't just click on this and then save. You have to save by going through each of the steps. So step 1, save. Then you can go into step 2. Sorry. And then see how it doesn't allow you to save. So save and continue allows you to move through the submitting process. So you would save and continue. That takes you to step 2 where you save and continue, takes you to step 3 where you save and continue. But if you just want to be able to look at each of the screens, you can click the numbers just to see all of the screens so that you can at least distribute the questions. But for saving and continuing, you have to start at step 1 and go all the way through.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That's a good trick.
Yep, no problem.
That's a great question as well, because what you just articulated there is kind of what we want. We want people to kind of take their time and be patient filling out this application, even though we've designed it that it's quite tight and condensed. There may be several people within your organization working on it together. So maybe you want to kind of hand off. But that's a great way, David, we just showed there to sort of see, so you can see the whole page. Yeah, at a glance.
And then of course, again, until you've submitted, I mean, even if that trick didn't exist, you could theoretically put in placeholders, and as long as you don't click submit at the end, I mean, you can always go back and refill in information. But point is, there's 2 or 3 ways that you can go through this without submitting and seeing everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next question we're going to have is from Vanessa.
Hi there. Question regarding the statement on all sport organizations that are not affiliated with a PSO. So if we are affiliated with a PSO but have significant losses, I'm just wondering about, were PSOs giving grants to organizations? Because I haven't heard anything from our PSO regarding that piece.
No, yeah, great question, Vanessa. And that was, we fielded a couple questions on past webinars about that as well, where the PSOs are that $20 million investment that I screen shared at the very beginning. They have their own process to distribute those funds to their member clubs. Some are doing application processes like we're doing here. Some are doing just emailing all their members, and they've been given a different amount of money depending on the size and scope of their organization by the ministry. Some are just dividing it up amongst their members, and each organization gets X amount of funds. If they have not done it to date, I would suggest that you reach out to them and ask what their process is. They have the similar timelines to us. They have till about the end of April, early May, to distribute the funds. Actually, I think their timeline is maybe into the middle of May. So you still have some time, but I would, I don't want to, do you mind asking what sport you're from?
Yeah,
Or what
so that's
PSO?
why I'm wondering if we maybe like when would it have been released, or like when would they
Yeah.
have been notified? So
Yeah, some PSOs, it's on their website right now. Like after that announcement was on March 8th, some it went up immediately. Some are still in the process of putting up their process. Some are still, to be honest, like I said, they may not have a full application process. They may just distribute X amount evenly amongst their member clubs. So that may be an approach that they're taking. It's really up to each PSO to do it that way. We do have part of the eligibility here. I wonder if I can do a screen share where, yeah, let me just pull this up. So here you'll see, sorry if you could see this, where there could be right here, there could be the situation where you are a member club of your PSO, but your losses are significant, like very, very large because of, let's say, gate losses, sponsorship, this piece here. So you can actually apply to the OSN grant, but we will be cross-referencing with all the PSOs, because the challenge that we have here, Vanessa, is there's almost two streams. If you're a member club, please go to your PSO. This is to capture the spaces in between. So there's clubs that are not members and they have a PSO. There's sports that actually don't have a PSO, just doesn't exist. Pickleball could be one, or dance, cheerleading. So this grant is specific, is to make sure that there's funds to get those programs back on track. But if you have experienced significant losses due to the pandemic, there is this clause that you can, and we're seeing that with some of the large team sports, let's say where there's large leagues, you can apply to the OSN grant. And we will also be cross-referencing to the PSOs, because what we don't want to see is grants almost getting either trying to get funds from both, and that's not the intent of this, or they actually don't apply to either one. And we want everyone to sort of have the ability to get investment to get themselves back on track. So, you know, we can also follow this up later after this webinar if you want to go into it more specific, Vanessa.
okay,
But,
to answer your question about what PSO, so it's Ontario Basketball. So I just am not sure. I know we did receive a little bit, but I think it was $500. So you know, that's not. I don't know if that's relevant to this, you know, this funding or not.
Yeah, no, so again, we're trying to capture those that are outside the normal PSO
No,
and
sorry, I do
MSO
understand
streams.
that.
Yeah, but there could be some examples, and we've already had a couple questions in the past where large, let's say leagues teams or have not been able to receive any type of grants to get them back on track. And we asked them to submit their application to the OSN. And like I said, we're going to see a wide spectrum of applications requesting financial need. Our job is to make sure that we communicate as well to our PSO partners, and we help the organizations to the best of our abilities.
Okay, and then I have one follow-up question, if that's okay. In terms of reserve funds, so if an organization has reserve funds to sustain them over a fiscal year, how is that looked upon despite being a loss in the last two fiscals?
Right, all that's going to be taken in consideration, and we will obviously see that through the financials that are being submitted. We tried to create an application where there was financial rigor, so we could actually see there's some organizations that have dipped into the reserve funds substantially and are really in need because they basically cannot continue any further. This entire program relief fund is about helping those get back on track, but those that are in most need. So, you know, it's a great question, but, you know, we have to look at every application, and we're going to dig into the financials. That's why we're asking those types of financial related questions to submit those records so we can actually look. There's been certain organizations as well has maybe received David, there's a part of the where it talks about CERB and other grants, let's say, or other relief from the government, and that's taken consideration as well. Some organizations have received nothing. So
Right.
again, we're trying to demonstrate those that can demonstrate the most need are the ones that in a competitive process that we're trying to assist.
And I
Thank
think
you.
that in regards to the reserve, I think that what was your organization's cash balance? I mean, that's a highlight point that, like Tommy said, we're going to go into the files when they're all submitted. But if you're showing us that your cash balance is obviously depleted between 19 and 2021 because you had to dip into it, that tells a story. Tommy, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, just on top of that, and again, the way we've designed this application as well is it's almost like the percentage as well. So if someone, it's not necessarily the the amount, it's also the story that's being told from 2019 to 2020, 2021. Some organizations may have actually smaller amounts of financial, figures, if you will, in their records, but we can actually see the percentage drawdown or the drop, and it's significant relative to what they had in 2019. So again, we're taking everything in consideration, and this application has been designed so it can support small organizations and large organizations. But great question there.
Okay, so our next question is going to be from Roman.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the relevant answers. Significant losses. So do you have to present financials that are showing basically red for the period like 19, 20, 21?
We're just give us the story of your organization, basically. I know that's a roundabout answer, but we expect to see people approaching this application demonstrating everything, all their financials, and then
Okay.
we don't know the range of applications that we expect to see. What I've seen to date, and David and I and Bianca have looked at some of the applications, is a pretty wide range as it relates to need, but everyone's journey through the last two years has been, and longer, has been very, very challenging, a lot of hardships, but there has been some successes, and people have communicated to us that based on some of the grants that they received and some of the programming that they shut down, they were in a kind of pause mode, but their relative need may not be that much. They may still apply, but you're going to be then measured against all the other organizations that also apply that demonstrate a big delta, if that makes sense. Sorry, David, you were going to say something.
No, that's it.
Okay, so you'll be looking at quantifying as well the losses and all that.
Exactly.
It won't be like a flood. Oh, okay. And then I just wanted to find out with so we are a member of PSO, but we haven't joined OSN. So I suspect at this point we will be, like, we're just looking at fundraising and everything like that, and we thought one of the options would be to join OSN. So we should be first looking to the PSO, right, for any funding, and the 7 million is kind of out of our reach at this point.
Yeah, you should go. You don't need to be a member of OSN to apply for this grant by any means, but you should be going through your PSO channels if you're a member organization, because they have been allocated.
But if I may jump in there, Roman, you're absolutely right. If you join OSN and you're able to take advantage of NSTF and other fundraising opportunities in the future, I mean, the ability to be able to provide tax receipts to your donors is invaluable. So you definitely do want to look into joining OSN, but it is not directly tied into success on this grant.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you. We are seriously looking into it. We just started this process 2 weeks ago, and then when we were on the website, we noticed these grants and the application deadlines coming up very quickly. So yeah, no, we're definitely we're in the process of joining OSN. Thank you.
It's a great question. There's also, thanks for that follow-up, David. There's also one of our frequently asked questions at the bottom. There's other avenues. Jumpstart is Canadian Tire Jumpstart is another community relief granting program, if you will, and Trillium as well has a number of grants that may be respectively good fits for your organization. But as you go through this application, you may maybe not have the necessary financials or some things that you can't answer. There are other opportunities, other grants out there, and we'd be happy to share some more information on that later.
Yeah, we were striking along with e-bingo, and while the going was good and everyone was able to get together, that was a good venue for us. But obviously, when things shut down, we weren't able to depend on the e-bingo funds coming in. So now we're finding ourselves looking somewhere else for funding. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks everyone.
Welcome. Thank you, Roman.
So our next question is from Joan.
Hi there. Thanks again for the webinar. 3 quick questions from me. Are the members of the evaluation committee, is that a published list?
No, it is not. No, it is not yet. But we are taking people that have experience in granting applications like this, and I have no affiliation with any of the organizations that are applying.
Okay, and then what are the commitments to audit post the funds being allocated?
Right, good question. So part of our ministry transfer payment agreement, so the legal document that captures everything around this grant, we have to do 10% audit of the recipients. So in the months of sort of May and June, July, we're going to randomly select 10% of the successful applicants to audit, so to speak. And then there's also a little piece at I think it's the last question, David, on the last page, where not around the financial audit, but we're actually going to reach out to if people have ticked the box to ask if they want to maybe tell their story. So just that we could share some of the investment and how the relief grant was put to work through some of the organizations that were successful.
And then just third part from me is any value assigned to letters of endorsement, either from the community that you're in or your member of provincial parliament?
We ask about the last question, sorry, on the 4th page is, how does your organization positively affect your local community, and how would this grant help you to improve this? So I would say that would probably be a place where you do tell the story. So yeah, there is a little bit of waiting from the judges based on what your community impact is. Okay. And potentially letters of endorsement, or you don't necessarily need to share them as much as you can even tell them, tell what they are. And then obviously, as Tommy was mentioning afterwards, if there's any, follow-up or auditing, I guess that might be something we would ask for.
So if you have the ability to submit economic impact figures for what your sport organization contributes to the local community, that's the section to put it in?
It wouldn't be a document, it would be part of the story that you'd be telling. It would be an essay question. So
you could submit pieces of market research you have that establishes your economic impact would be included in that section. Saying the economic impact is X, Y, Z, it would go into that section?
You could, and we're trying to summarize it so we don't have to, if there's 1,000 applicants, there's all these attachments, but you could summarize it in a paragraph or a couple bullet points into that answer. We've kept it tight to, I think it's 500 characters there.
Okay. Okay, and then just one more. Our organization is part of the Central Canadian Hockey League. And we found out about the funding, the availability of funding through the town where our team resides in, as well as the Hockey League. But they're submitting their own application. And I guess I just want to be clear. I think you have been clear. But so we can submit our own application. Or should we be going to Hockey Canada for directive on that? Or to the CCHL, who are applying on their own?
Yeah, the way that we've done this, and a lot of team sports are unique in this. There could be the league is run by X organization, but then this organization also runs a team. When David was doing the piece at the front end, you set up a profile and you can actually have multiple organizations. But what we can't have is the let's say the main organization or the league doing applications for each team. Does that make sense? The teams need to do it on their own.
Okay.
Because their financials.
If I understand you properly, you're saying the funding envelope for $20 million is where an organization like a member organization, so there's 12 hockey teams make up the CCHL. So we should be looking to the CCHL and Hockey Canada, Hockey Canada has an allocation already?
Yeah, for
in that
that,
20 million?
I again, not knowing the specifics of how the hockey, if it's a national program, I know in watching that announcement on the 8th, they're very specific that it needs to be in Ontario. So
It
if
is.
there's,
Yeah, it's in Eastern Ontario, Central
okay.
Canadian
So it's just,
Hockey League. It's all Eastern Ontario.
yeah. So if it's just the Ontario component of that, then that's fine. They need to apply, but I'm not aware of the particulars of how that's being broken down from the PSO side of things.
Who would be able to assist me in that?
Who's your contact at your
Well, we have a commissioner at the CCHL who told us to apply individually, but they were applying. So I don't want to take up everybody's time to evaluate something that is going to be not submitted through the proper channels.
Yeah. In that case, maybe we could just follow up after this Zoom call, Joan, respectively, just because we want to make sure that no one gets missed. But I want to be very clear on everyone's eligibility. We've had some questions before about national organizations that have maybe teams outside the province, and we're honing in on just that Ontario element of it. So it can be quite complex. But Joan, if we could follow up offline,
Sure.
You can email me directly at the grants@ontariosportnetwork.ca email, and I will follow up with you.
Great. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it looks like we have another question from Roland, perhaps. So I'm just going to unmute you.
Yeah, I think it was Roman who asked the last question. I didn't get mine in yet.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I thought that might have been what happened. So happy to just wait. And Joan actually asked a couple of my questions too. So that was great. Thank you, Joan. As a hockey organization, realize that we will likely need to go to the OHF for most of the funds. We do have one of our programs, however, that does not have an Ontario PSO, and that is our special hockey program. Can we apply directly for a program of ours, or must we apply it as an entire organization? Because the financial picture would look very different for us. We run the Ice Pirates regularly, which is our special hockey program, at a loss, but it has been a substantial loss during the pandemic, whereas we've been able to, with programming cuts and other things, manage the rest of our programming and then eat into our reserves for other things very well. Are we able to break it down by program or no?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you can articulate in the financial documents that you submit and highlight, which element is that program, because again, we're looking at the loss of that specific program, not the rest of the organization. David, is there a way that they could do that on the application? I'm pretty sure they can answer it, and we can.
Well, I think they would just be submitting under the name of the program. And if Roland, are you able to submit the financials based on the program only, or are you saying that they're all underneath this one umbrella?
So we as an entire organization run boys, girls, house league rep, special hockey, sledge hockey, all as one organization, but we do have separate line items specifically for each program on both the expense and revenue side. We could apply either which way. I just know the picture will look very different from a whole organization point of view, as opposed to just our special hockey program.
I would say, Tommy, I mean, when you're answering the question, which best describes your organization, you'd be clicking other there and you would be calling it a specific program. And then you would be submitting all of the information based on that program as if it were standalone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great part. I think it's in step 2 where you describe with your team league or whatever, because we've had situations, Roland, where it could be a club and they are a member of, let's say they do 5 sports. It's the same sort of thing what you're asking about, one program not being funded or losing funds, but it could be a club that does 4 sports that are captured under PSO, so they're getting relief funding for that, but they do a 5th sport that is got no relief funding because it has no affiliation with pickleball. Could be one. So they're actually going to be, the club would be applying uniquely for that pickleball activity. Does that make sense? So you just
No,
click
that does.
other.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of how special hockey works. It's still fairly new from a governance perspective, even though it's existed for a while. So they've managed to establish a national level body, but they don't have a provincial level body yet. So I doubt they would have received any funding. Whereas Sledge, for example, has a provincial level. So we'll reach out to Asha for that program directly.
So if you're seeing my screen, you can see that on that second page, when you're talking about the basic info, click other, and then please describe your situation.
Excellent, thank you. And then just for Joan, it might not be the direct person to call, but would likely be able to help you with answers. I would try calling Phil McKee at the OHF. I know the CCHL doesn't report to the OHF, but he tends to have the lay of the land for Hockey Canada pretty down. And he might be able to help you as far as where that funding might exist within the provincial level.
Well, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Bianca, maybe we could field one more question or one or two more questions.
Yeah, we have one from Lena.
Hi. First of all, I had two questions. The first one I think you just answered. So as an organization, I was originally going to apply, and I think it makes more sense to apply under our sports division. So I'll have to just kind of pull that out. How does that impact the financial statements, though? Because this financial statements are uploaded as an organization.
Yes, I know that is our challenge, just with the unique aspect of a lot of applications, a lot of organizations structured differently, and the financials reading as, you know, they're going to be broken up into different ways. There are pieces of the application where you can, there's text where you can actually put in, you know, direct us to what we should be looking at in terms of your financials, the way you answer revenue, the way that you answer, David, maybe if you could do a screen share there, there's the ability to, because what we need to hone in on specific to your application is what loss, or in what context are you talking about loss, like respective of what part of your organization's programming.
Yeah. I see.
No, because that's going to be, because we're looking at specifically, there may be some organizations that do other activities beyond sport and rec, and we're
Right.
honing in on the sport and recreation component of that. So that is a bit of a challenge of this. But
so I'm part of a sort of a larger community center that focuses mostly on sport and recreation, but within that umbrella, we have a specific department that runs all of our leagues and is very, like, it's exclusively sports. So I'm not sure which direction to kind of go in. The other question is how much can you apply for? And do you have any advice on how much we should be asking for?
yeah, at no point in the application is there an ask, actually, because the application splits into two sort of sections, where if you fill out the first section, there's a pretty wide bandwidth, Atlanta, between $10,000 and $150,000 potentially that organizations are eligible for, because again, we've got a large and small scale and scope in the province in terms of need. And the second part of the application is for those organizations that perhaps cannot demonstrate financial records like year-end or audited statements, and they can apply up to $5,000. So we've strategically done this application so we can meet the needs of a wide bandwidth of potential applicants. But at no point do you actually, except for the second one where it says it's $5,000 or under $5,000, between 10 and 150, I know is a large bandwidth, but until we get all the applications in, until we get go through and see which organizations are eligible, it's only then we'll determine what the streams are in terms of funding amounts, if that makes sense. So we haven't even asked for financial, like, banking information or any of that yet, because we're going to have to go through all of the applications in the month of May to sort of see where everyone sort of fits, but which is going to be a lengthy process. So, and again, we expect that there's going to be a large range of applications, and we our goal is to make sure that we're providing support to as many organizations as possible throughout the entire province. So,
so the money will be distributed based on the review process, and it's not as though we're just, so it's loose until you guys meet and see.
Yeah, exactly. To see the number of applications that we do get, the ones that can demonstrate need through this application process. They're also sharing with us if organizations have received any other financial support before. And yeah, it's not as, it couldn't be as scripted as you're going to receive this amount, because we want to see what the applications, when they come in, where they all align, where they all fit. This is the first time of this scope. There were PSOs were given a funding envelope last year in terms of relief funds, but this is the first time this sector, the group outside the PSO stream, has ever received relief funding. So and in the profit and non-for-profit space. So it's a unique grant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that looks like all the questions.
Yep. But we will thank you for everyone's time. If people think or we weren't able to get to your question, or people think of questions right after the Zoom, please email the grants at Ontario Sport Network email address. You can see that on our main page, and we will follow up with you. Thanks for taking part today. Really appreciate the questions. We really look forward to seeing everyone's application. Thank you all.